Okay, with this new phone I have, there's a cool feature called dual recording. This is really neat. This would be a cool way to do Bible studies through video. Um, this phone I'm really thankful for. I had my phone break last week. Was like, well, God, if you don't want me to have a phone, then I'm cool with going back to not having a phone. It's like, well, if you want me to have one, I have seen fruit from having a phone for sure, with God lining things up through people contacting me on it. So it's like, God, if you want me to have a phone, then you make it happen. And then I said that at night, and then I wake up the next morning and I looked at my emails, and there was somebody who had sent me $700. This was a gentleman, a brother in another city, and his mom had told him that my phone broke, and he instantly had it on his heart that he needed to send money. So praise God, the great provider. Now I just wanted to highlight one verse here today, and I wanted to highlight the idea that God can I believe that God can show people things today in this Bible, in this word, in the word of God. He can show people things that are fresh revelations. I don't know who Richard Baum is, but pray for him. I got this Bible for really cheap on eBay with Richard Baum labeled in. But I believe God can reveal things to people through the word that are unique things for today, or things that he hasn't even revealed to people yet, through his Logos word, bring a rhema word to people. So one thing that was I felt like God showed me through the scriptures, and then how other people then years later said the same thing that God had showed them it. So anyways, with James, one of my favorite books, and we're looking in James 1 and then verse 27. If anyone considers himself religious and yet does not keep a tight rein on his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. And I really want to highlight that part. So, to look after orphans and widows in their distress. And what is that? Okay, now most people, and I used to always take that as like a literal physical orphans and widows, and which it definitely is. Okay, and so I've walked that out in different ways in my life, and I believe that is like a literal looking after orphans and widows. And there's a call to that. People that don't have a father, don't have a husband, but God showed me like this is a call to for evangelism, to bring people to reach spiritual orphans and spiritual widows. So a spiritual orphan is someone who does not have God as their father. So they're a spiritual orphan. They don't know the Father. Okay, and a spiritual widow is someone who is not in the bride of Christ, is not a bride of Christ, doesn't have Jesus as a spiritual husband or partner, and as a head. We need a spiritual head. And so Jesus said, I am the way to the Father. So this is a call to reach spiritual orphans and spiritual widows, and to reach them in their distress, because people who don't have the Father, they're in distress. Whether they even know it or not, there's a great distress, especially on the final day. Don't have Jesus as Lord. And this is a call to reach people with the gospel. So anyways, this was a revelation God showed me, and I just started telling some people about that. Some people thought it was foolish. Other people thought it was really amazing revelation. And then it wasn't until like a few years later, I was out for breakfast with some people, and I was out with Braden Hall and Elizabeth Hall, his wife, were there. It was my first time meeting her, and she was just fired up, because she was saved from quite a past of just sins, and she was sharing her testimony, and she's like, and we need to reach the lost and share the gospel with people, because there are spiritual orphans and widows out there. According to James 1, it's not just physical orphans and widows, but I was a spiritual orphan and widow, and we need to reach people with the gospel. We need to care for orphans and widows in their distress. So this powerful verse, that it's not just physical, we do need to look after physical orphans and widows, but also spiritual ones. So go and find them. They're everywhere, because sometimes people say, well, there's no orphans or widows in my neighborhood or where I live. Everyone's pretty well off. But I bet you, at least in my neighborhood, there's a lot of spiritual orphans and widows. All right, so be encouraged that you have the gospel of salvation and get those feet fitted with the readiness of the gospel of peace. All right, be blessed in Jesus' name. Hallelujah. Thank you for your word. Memorize the book of James. Put it into your heart. It's so amazing. All right, God bless.